God,
they listen to it and they're like, guys, we fucked up.
He's got a point.
By God,
he's got a point.
We have to go to children's mercy. Now, guys, what we're not thinking here is, what if they're actually just going to Children's Mercy Hospital in Kansas City?
They're too good for that.
No, it's Children's Mercy Park. Although after Vancouver, No Mercy Park.
Hey, they're going to the Children's Park at Mercy Hospital. They're playing on a swing set and a pair of monkey bars.
And Carlton Belmont will still manage to outscore half the league.
I was just going to say, yep, they'll still manage to win.
Yep. Oh, he's decent at soccer.
Outscoring 13 teams.
Dude, whatever team dropped him, man, they must be stupid.
Yeah, who would do that, right?
Who would possibly do that? Shit, man.
Why would they, And maybe he'd be a really good backup for, I don't know, like Fernando Adi.
Yeah. Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, sure. If you
throw a name out there, not like that.
Just randomly.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. You guys ready to rock and roll this?
Going
right. Anyway, I'll start now.
Any messages to leave me?
Hey, Evan.
I'll during the show we'll leave some messages for you because you're not here.
Please don't do that. I do not want to have to get up tomorrow morning and find the spots in the audio where you left me a message and cut it together.
Yeah. You can just edit that out to make it. You mean the whole show? Yeah, just do it. It's fine.
That's what happened. Technical problems last time, right? You just
right. We just actually didn't want anyone to hear what Brian had to say about anything, so we just were like, scrap it.
Poor Brian. I felt so bad for Brian.
I did too, man. I did too. Evan didn't hit a button this week. Isn't as good of a tweet as, "Hey, we fucked up."
I actually talked to him right after that, and he was like, "Oh man," he was all upset.
Yeah. He was like, "I'm gonna be mad on the internet attendance numbers." It's too easy. Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the USL show, sponsored by Roughneck Scarves, your home for men's and women's national team USL and MLS scarves, as well as custom scarves for your club or personal use. Check them out, roughneckscarves.com. This podcast is also produced by the Beautiful Game Network of podcasts, which we're very proud to be a part of. Check the whole network out at bgn.fm, as well as on Twitter at the BGNFM. Hey Mike, how many podcasts are on that network now?
A lot.
A lot. That's fair.
I think the last count was 20, and that may or may not be giving away some news that's coming up. So,
so to prevent you from giving away that news, let me talk about the newest member of the of the family. It's Foxtrot Pod, and they cover Fresno, and they're lovely people. It's two dudes and Amy, which is what I'm referring to them until the end of time. And yeah, so they cover Fresno things. What I want everyone to do on the Twitter is go follow them, because right now they're at like 83 followers, and I think it'd be kind of cool if we could help them get to 100 by like the end of the week. That would be neat. So let's do that. Let's try to do that. At Foxtrot Pod on the Twitters, and you can find them all over the place. With that same name, Foxtrot Pod. Also send them an email. I think they're a Gmail. So go listen to those guys. It's really good stuff. They ship Kaffa fanfic if you're really into that, which is never a sentence I thought I'd say on a podcast. And I've said some weird sentences on a podcast. Anyway, so I'm your host, as always, or as most weeks, Evan Villala, joined sometimes by my soccer colleagues, sometimes by my soccer acquaintances, but they are always my soccer friends. And for the next hour or so, I will be your moderator, host, or maybe even your facilitator of the discussion of week 7 of the USL season. Joining me this week, just because you heard him first, it is the godfather of the BGN network. He's from Mongols. He's your favorite dad. It's Mike Sparks.
What? Huh? What?
Yeah,
your favorite dad?
Yeah, it's your favorite. It's your favorite dad, except for you, because you can't be your own father unless your dad's name is also Mike Sparks.
It is not. It is not. I've avoided a lot of confusion in my household growing up.
I'm sure.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to be here. Happy to put down my phone and get off of the Twitter war that I was waging earlier with FC Cincinnati fans.
There's so many of them. How did you fight all 3,972,437 of them at one time, Mike?
25,000. 25,000. That's all you need to know.
They like their Twitter wars.
They do. And honestly, it's It's all in good fun. We at Mongols have nothing but the utmost respect for the guys at Cincy Soccer Talk. Brian, Boston, all of them, and we've talked in DMs back and forth even through all of this, and it's all just it's a lot of fun. So yeah.
The other voice you might have just heard, he's basically the best parts of Chuck Palahniuk and Elliott Smith. That is Big Kev, Kevin McCamish.
What up?
How's it going, Kev?
Not too bad.
That's good. That's good.
It's a gloriously sunny day in Portland where it's just almost 80.
That's my favorite TV show.
It's almost 80.
Yeah, it's almost 80 in Portland. That's such a good show. That's totally what. Anyway. Oh, this is gonna go forever. It's the waviest man in the St. Louis metropolitan area. The cream in your Irish coffee. It is Phil Grims.
Hello, hello.
Phil, what's up? How's it going? You keeping it wavy?
Keeping it wavy. Doing my best.
That's
St. Louis is keeping it wavy. It's making it easy.
It's true. It's true. It's always easier to keep it wavy when your team's keeping it wavy. Keep it on the same energy levels, things like that. It is the USL Stats Department, the man who puts the show in show notes. Our international correspondent for another 4 weeks. Right now.
Good morning from Glasgow.
Hey. Even when you're back, can you just keep saying that? Like, if I didn't ruin the illusion every week that you're like not actually in Glasgow anymore, can we just keep saying good morning from Glasgow?
I'm still in Glasgow for 4 more weeks, and I did something today that I don't know how I managed to do it. I was making an oven baked pizza, and I managed to both over and undercook it at the same time.
Good.
Burned on top, soggy on bottom.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's my autobiography. Can you not give out that name so easily? Sir, please? Please. That was very rude. Blowing up my book. All right, anyway.
I have learned more in like the past 3 minutes of being on this show than I ever thought I would this evening. So
yeah,
thank you all.
Like, really, what these invitations to come on the USL show are just, trap cards for people to be stuck here for an hour and a half and Lewis talk. It's all just a vanity project for me, if I'm honest.
That's why we're all here.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
We're here
my fragile self-esteem. Guys, news around the United Soccer League and things. The big one is, Swope Park Rangers are playing all their remaining home matches at Children's Mercy Park, which is not a hospital park. It is where the first team plays.
Hallelujah.
It's not often that Peter Vermes listens to a podcast and listens to a rant and decides that person is correct and then makes news happen because of what I said, basically, is what I'm saying. Did I mention this is a vanity project?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if anyone's questioning the ability, like the USL shows, like influence and reach in a league, there's your answer.
Yeah. So we might have
made the right choice.
Yeah, we're basically like Instagram famous, but through a podcast, and like we're basically in the pocket of not only just USL now, which is a criticism I'm surprised more people haven't levied at us, but also of MLS. So I can't wait to root for the Austin Crew next year. Anyway, speaking of the Columbus Crew, Sports Illustrated brought up that Bethlehem Steel we're going to play in Rochester. Sorry. That the most ambitious MLS rankings. So let's do it for the independent clubs in USL, I guess. So guys, who is the most ambitious? And by ambitious, I mean who has the most attendance in USL?
Nashville.
5,000.
Yeah.
24,999.
Yeah.
Because that's America, right? You always got to drop it by one.
Right.
You sell people on that.
Right. You got to hit them with the under, and then you hit them with the over, then you come back a little lower. Plus tax. So it actually works out to 25,075 after Cincinnati gets their 6% or whatever they take.
But wait, there's more.
Yeah. Act now, and we'll throw streamers in Louisville.
There you go.
And they will get upset because paper can hurt you.
So wait, hold on. For somebody who does not actually pay attention to MLS, just because
I thought you were going to say USL, and I was going to lose my mind.
What?
Why would be like, yes, keep going.
Why is this not car talk? No. What is this ambitious number that you're talking about, Evan?
It's a number pulled out of SI's ass.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, from the people that brought you, the Rochester Rhinos are fine, and Bethlehem are going to dissolve. Now comes this ambition ranking, which doesn't mean a ton, because how do you quantify ambition?
Ryan, what did they choose? What was their top ranking?
Most of the time, it just seemed like it was just based off like basic power ranking. I'm going back through the article right now, and it's just talking about where they think the club is headed towards. There wasn't like any metric behind it. They were just like more of just ranking the outlook of the team. Like if you look all the way down at Columbus Crew down at the bottom, it was completely subjective, and definitely it had valid points. I was behind basically saying, and since Precourt has given up, that he is basically
and it run up into the ground.
Yeah, it would basically put him in last place, but there was like no metric that I saw behind it.
Gotcha. It's whoever spends the most money.
So pretty much
in the West, Toronto. It goes LAFC and then down from there, and then the other side we start probably the East starts at Toronto and goes Atlanta.
Interesting.
I could almost probably just predict the ambition rankings based on the teams, how much money they spend every year. Funny how that might work out. Oh my god,
maybe.
So if that's the case, then how do we do a similar ranking for the USL?
I would say instead of the independent clubs, look at the MLS2 teams on what their ambition would be for off the field. Like completely ignoring their on-field performance, who would be the most ambitious off the field MLS2 sides?
So that would be who's
actually trying to
or like who's signing guys the first team deals?
That would be a good one to add in there. I don't think that's what people would think first off.
For ambition, yeah, that would just be kind of.
It would still be difficult to try and compare MLS2 teams' ambition to independent sides' ambition.
Yeah, you could do that. You could do independent sides' ambition and maybe second team's synergy with their first team. How about that? Synergy rankings.
I like that.
We'll have to work on that.
Sporting Kansas City just bumped up a couple notches by going back to the main park.
It's true.
We should probably do an article, like 2 article versions, one with Pony and Ryan that kind of has some kind of actual metric
to it.
But then like the rest of us make one that has absolutely no method to it.
Yeah.
Why don't you come up with your rankings? I found them at the bottom of a bottle.
If we're going for like most ambitious, just in terms of off the field, Vegas is far and away first, right?
Yeah, for real.
Like that's it. And then the other news, and our dear friends at Sock Takes, who seem to break everything wide open, said that USL and USL D3 are maybe gonna rebrand, not in league name, but in I don't know, like after names. So they have apparently are attempting to or in the process of trademarking Championship and League One, and I think League Two, right?
Yep.
Taking a very English Football League Championship kind of vibe, which is not a bad idea, because I'm sure that's who they're kind of maybe not looking to model after, because I think they want more consistency top to bottom in terms of quality of play. But I think in terms of like, especially in recent years with the ownership / lawsuit that shall not be named, the division label has gotten really dirty. So I think kind of weaning off of that isn't a bad idea. But we'll see. But shout outs to Nipun and the guys at Soccer and Sweet Tea for doing some digging and finding some possible trademarks coming down the pipes.
I mean, I think that this we keep joking about do we think USL is ever going to try to take on MLS? I don't know, but I think trying to call yourself League One when you're Division II is that sort of misleading thing that casual fans are not going to catch on to. And they're just going to, it's USL League One. What's the difference between that and MLS? And USL fans are going to be like, nothing. They're both great.
Yeah, right.
And just wait until MLS rebrands to the Major League Premiership or something.
Barclays Major League Soccer.
Ooh, good.
It's one louder.
Yeah.
That the other thing to notice that, I think I even asked Jake Edwards about it when I talked to him over the summer, was that I think there were 4 names listed in that Soccer and Sweet Tea when they broke that a long time ago, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, that's another reason where you're like, are you going to try to take on MLS? Because we can see a Division 2, a 3, and a 4 in USL.
And I think another thing that you do as well is you just apply for copyrights for things that you don't know, to throw people like us, off of the trail a little bit. And that, it could be any of these 4 things. So, let's pretend like all of them are valid, but maybe there isn't really any desire to have USL Championship be a thing. Maybe they're just going for USL League 1, League 2, and League 3 or whatever.
But not only that, but why not have
cover your bases?
If you can pull it off someday, or that's your ultimate goal, you could reach that. You have,
but I don't think anyone's going to come and swipe that copyright from you. You know what I mean? Like, I know obviously it'll expire after however many months or whatever, but then, if that goes up, I don't think anyone's going to steal your domain name, so to speak, and pop, I'll just sit on USL Championship for 4 years. 'Cause who knows,
I also don't think the USL is like Apple, where Apple's just we're going to patent everything. I think the USL doesn't have the resources and potentially not the savvy to do that. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm just not giving them enough credit. But yeah,
I like it.
Fair enough, guys. There was games that happened. And Ryan, to steal a clip from your show notes, the last this is a bunch of last-minute goals this week. 7, in fact, past the 86th minute, with 6 of them tying a match or winning it, which included that Carlton Belmar Phoenix Rising show that happened, where those 2 teams put on a really, I don't want to call it a clinic, because I don't think it was necessarily the prettiest soccer I've ever seen, but it was a shootout. That was a fun one.
It was fun.
But hey, speaking of not fun things that happened, Toronto FC 2-0, North Carolina FC 0, which meant the Junior Reds scored exactly 0 goals, and North Carolina FC scored exactly 0 goals.
Not liking how North Carolina plays away. I was on liking North Carolina and not liking Indy 11, and to me, they're starting to kind of morph into the exact same kind of team. One I'm enjoying watching as of late, at least. So yeah, North Carolina, I thought they looked great at the beginning. I'm not liking them as much lately, but maybe they're just on a downturn.
I mean, they were outshot by Toronto in this match, 17-9 and 42 in shots on target. And Toronto, had 36 clearances, but North Carolina led in possession for this match with 57%. So it just seemed like it just wasn't their night, and it probably should have had 0-0 written all over it.
Well, and actually, I wanted to say this is the first extensive game I've watched with Toronto, but their individual players actually were looking pretty good, especially in the attack. I think maybe they're just putting something together, or they just had a really good game, and a 0-0 might still be all the best they can do, perhaps. But I really liked what I saw from a lot of their young attackers in that game. I think they're on the upturn rather than downturn.
Best team in Canada at the moment.
Oh, really?
Oh,
for
God.
USL.
They sure are?
Oh, no.
How weird is that?
Oh, no.
There's something to hang your hat on.
Oh, man. Yeah, if no one knows the context for that, that sounds great. But
there's 2.
We'll get into that. There's 3, but yeah, they're the best. Anyway. Hey, Kev, Portland Timbers 2-3, RGVFC 2.
Yep.
You get by with a little help from your first team friends.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the guys that actually played, I mean, they haven't really put together hardly any minutes with the first team, so I don't know if you really want to call them first team players. Players who have have first team contracts and loan down? Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
That's what a second team is for, right?
Yeah.
Are a lot of those guys, is this their first game getting extensive minutes with 2, though? Just out of curiosity. Like,
for 3 of the players, it was Julio Cascante, Dairon Asprilla, and Jack Barmby.
Oh, okay.
And the first 2 played in the first half. Jack Barmby played in the second half. He was the only one that had any influence because he both earned and converted the PK that T2 got.
Nice. That's not that much. I thought it was more.
Well, I mean, the other guys like Ababasi and Langsdorff, they are first-team contracted guys, but they're going to spend their entire seasons with T2.
Nice.
So, I mean, I consider them T2 players that can just go up and play a US Open Cup for the first team or something if they need to. So those guys don't count. I mean, it's good to see these guys getting goals because that just looks good for them as far as trying to make the first team at the end of the season or the off season or just making that next step. I want to see those guys score goals. Portland really decided to make it interesting / quote unquote entertaining at the end and let RGV get a PK, and there was a little kerfluffle at the end, and both teams ended with 10 men. In the end, the T2 getting 3 goals in 12 minutes was enough to get 3 points.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I really like Jeremy Babisa. I think he's great. He's not quite MLS level yet, but I think, the more reps he gets with T2, the better for him.
Yeah, the more goals he scores, the more confidence he gets, then it's going to work out great for his MLS career. Yeah. He probably should have gotten more minutes in his rookie year with the first team, more than just 317. This season, with the attacking depth on both sides, both the first and second team, I think he should get lots of reps with T2, probably the entire season. And if he can bag, double-digit goals, that's probably going to be really good for him.
Fresno 2, Tulsa also 2. Back and forth match. Fresno probably wishes they would stop drawing and start winning games.
Yeah.
But, 2 red cards in this one. Well, these are, I guess, 2 more red cards. The West very much likes to set a trend for the week and follow it. Especially when it comes to discipline. So
yeah, the West is they like to foul. They are not disciplined at all. Pretty much
no.
a lot of the teams, they just go in hard and crazy and sloppy and rack up those cards.
It's really bizarre compared to the East, where you have, obviously there's a certain team in Pittsburgh that's very organized, is a word that a lot of people use. Things like that. It's just very strange. But yeah, 2-2, I think Fresno will be a little hard done to just keep drawing everybody. I think they honestly deserve at least 1 win that they didn't get this year. This is probably one they'll look at, 2 points lost instead of a point gained. And, John Baccaro scores in the 90th minute and steals a point for Tulsa.
And Tulsa's on the upturn just a tiny bit. Didn't they win, or is this their second draw in a row? But they're not losing every game suddenly. So I'm
sure.
hoping this is good news for them at least.
Yeah, it's their second draw, and it's also their first goal since they gave up 2 in the final 2 minutes against Real Monarchs on March 25th.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then we have Sacramento Republic 2, Colorado Springs Switchbacks 1. Kamawasa and Viljan Bijev, I think.
Viljan Bijev.
Okay, close. I could have done worse. Score in the second half to win it. Shane Malcolm opened things for Colorado Springs. I think on the road, this is a harder game to stay in front of for Colorado. I think they'll be a little encouraged that they were able to get the lead in the first half and hold it off for, almost 40 minutes. But, one of those things where, again, Sacramento just showing that they have a little more quality, I think, than Colorado.
They keep winning by just 1 goal, I feel like. We're getting a lot of these results. And I know Pony, you have to say it. Pony's been saying how their conversion rate is a little too high, or maybe their expected goals has been a little closer than it should be. And so we keep looking for a downturn on Sacramento, and they keep pulling out these games. So I don't know if Ryan, do you have any thoughts about their stats lately?
Yeah, I mean, Sacramento are now one of 7 teams that have scored in every single match they've played, but every single result, they haven't yet to score more than 2 goals in a match, and every win has been by just 1 goal, whether it's been 2-1 or 1-0. So it definitely just seems that they find a way to just earn results out. I think one of their strongest results has to be earlier in the year where they beat Orange County 1-0 on the road, or potentially even that 1-1 result against Las Vegas could actually be seen as a decent outcome. But it just seems like they continually find ways to just churn out results. They're currently leading the league in points at the moment as well at 14.
That's the kind of team you worry about in the playoffs, right? Those teams that like you feel like maybe shouldn't be winning as often as they are, but always seem to churn them out. Those are the ones you worry about.
I think early in the season, the only thing, not that it's a bad thing to have, but the only thing that it really impacts this early, and I'll have to stop saying that when we get to double-digit weeks, I suppose. But the only thing this really affects is playoff seeding, I think.
Yeah,
like the fact that they basically, not that they stole a win against Orange County, but the fact that they've been able to do that and seemingly no one else has, pretty much is huge for them. Even just for a confidence thing where they can look to, the schedule and go, all right, well, we already beat these guys. Why don't we just, do it again? So, it'll be interesting to see if they kind of fizzle out at all or stop getting maybe as lucky as they are. But, for now, those are points that you'll happily take. Speaking of points that you'll happily take, man, Ottawa Fury won North Carolina. Again, North Carolina probably not happy about this whole week. Given the first points to Toronto FC of their season, early and then late, you only, later on in the weekend, you only come up with a point against Ottawa. Ottawa's a tougher place to play. They actually have a little, a solid fan base. Not that TFC2 doesn't, but I think, Ottawa has a little bit more of an identity and stand out a little bit stronger. So it's a little harder to go in there and play, or it should be. And I think Ottawa would be smart to kind of make TD Bank or TD rather a bit of a fortress. But North Carolina, not happy with how this went, I'm sure.
No, man, I definitely wouldn't think so. They should have gotten at least more than 2 points out of this. And Ottawa's the one team in the USL at the moment that have yet to lead at any point in a match through the season. And granted, they've only played 4 matches, but and going back towards NCFC, they've actually all played the 3 other NASL survivors this season in Ottawa, Indy 11, and Tampa, and has only gotten 1 point with them with losses to Tampa Bay and Indy 11 prior to the season. Or prior to this match.
Mike, we drag on about Ottawa and North Carolina a good bit. What are your thoughts as someone that's not here every week or even just as a fan of the Riverhounds? Like, what do these 2 teams present to you in terms of threats, or what do you see from them that you're a fan of?
I mean, I was a bit surprised because we played Ottawa last week, so not this past weekend, but the weekend before that. And in my mind, Kevin likes to make the joke on our show that they're a Canadian team, we should just beat them. Like, that's just how it goes. And so I don't have very high expectations for a team like Ottawa, but they did come into Highmark and we beat them 1-0. They have the potential, I think, to be a better team than obviously what the record shows, with them being in last place in the East.
Right.
In my mind, North Carolina is one of those teams that I don't follow too closely, but I always just sort of expect them to be in the mix. So to see them currently sitting at 12th, which again, we're 5-6 weeks in, I think is a little bit against what I would have expected. And especially to go, on a road trip, face the last 2 place teams in the East and just get 2 draws is not what I would have expected from North Carolina at all.
Right.
So, yeah.
Penn FC in there now. This is I love to rail on about this on Twitter, but in their packet, so every people that might not know, every team has a media packet that you get at games every week. It's one of those things that's required. So the home team and the away team both have to give you a media packet, and in there it has the club history, all the players on the roster. For the MLS2 teams, it has literally everybody that plays professional soccer in the organization. Pronunciation guides, things like that. Just general stats, everything, pretty much what you would expect out of a media guide. I mean, you could find them all online. Penn FC's this is their first year, which confirms that they are completely ditching the Harrisburg City Islanders thing, which vulgar word you guys, because that's a travesty to Pennsylvania soccer. Because prior to the season, that was the longest running professional team in the state, hands down, easily. And I would think, and this is just me with a personal opinion, so if he doesn't feel the same way, that's great. But the guy that's now your technical director and former head coach Bill Betcher, who's been there since the beginning, it's a bit of a slap in the face. So I get that brand wasn't super strong or anything like that, which is why you changed it and became FC Penn FC since Stopwatch FC or whatever. But Penn 15. Penn 15, right? Yeah. Ooh. Hey, now I'm getting excited. Yeah. Oh man. But I just can't. I just can't. Like, I don't understand why that was such an important distinction to make and why you would throw away, especially in a league that's so rapidly changed since even, I always say this, but even since 2015 when Steele and Cincinnati and all those guys came in, like why you would just ditch that heritage when that means so much to those other clubs like Charleston, like Richmond, like Sac Republic, like the Riverhounds, where they keep that, and that's a big part of their identity. So it's baffling, and I'm sorry I went on a tangent. We're supposed to be talking about a match, but it's just one of those things that pisses me off to no end.
Or before we get to the match, and they were runner-ups of USL Pro to Sacramento in 2014.
Right.
So it's not, they have recent history in the league. It's not like they're playing off of stuff from the mid 2000s.
Right. Well, they don't now because they got rid of it. So, yeah, I mean, listen, if that's what they want, then I can, we can do that. We can completely ignore all the history, I suppose.
But is it what it sounds like? That's what ownership wants. But it sounds like the fans, like we've talked to a couple people, and they're like, "Look, they were called the City Islanders because they played on City Island. Like
they still do.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a history to it, and to just." There's a right way and there's a wrong way to do a rebrand, yes. And I feel like not to toot our own horn, but because I wasn't behind it at early on, but I thought the Riverhounds did it the right way, and Penn FC are just the complete opposite. And it's a shame because when you're losing teams like Rochester because of financial reasons, here you have a team that can stick around and keep that heritage, and instead they're just ditching it. There's no hope of them like moving up to MLS. This isn't like a play to get more fans to make that run. So what? Yeah. Okay. All right. I'm done.
No, I agree with you.
You're right.
Should we charge them a littering fee or a littering fine, or just throw in their history in the gutter?
No, it does feel like, though, exactly what you said, Mike, where it feels like ownership kind of came in and they don't know the history of the club. They don't know what USL is about or what it's like.
See, but I don't think it's that they don't know. I think it's that they literally don't care. Because if they didn't know, they wouldn't have kept Bill Betcher on the technical staff.
Well, I don't know about that. I think they were smart enough to not totally hit restart on the players in the thought process, at least. And I think we're seeing that is paying off just a hair. But how often do you see you're picturing, to me, I'm picturing this old white guy coming into this office being like, I own this team now. Here's the logo that we're going to roll with. And here's this guy who I just hired is going to type up the media packet and he's going to say this and that, and this is going to happen. And it's just like all these uneducated decisions where
no one's allowed to use the number 15.
Get the point.
Oh, right on.
It feels like they're not well informed and not doing it right, kind of like Mike said.
Anyway, Atul Aguirre scored a goal in the 77th minute, and then Ken Tribbett hits a goal of the week somehow. I was not blown away by anything Ken Tribbett did when he was with the Union or Bethlehem. I mean, he had a good season, but I think he's a great USL pickup. I didn't know he could hit a bicycle kick like that, but he did. And he steals a point for Penn FC in their first game ever. There, see, it sounds stupid. So I'm glad. Tommy Heineman did not feature in the 18 out of protest for them dropping all their history.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
Wouldn't it? The plot thickens. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's his kit number?
I actually don't know.
I forgot. I saw it last week, and I don't.
For Cincinnati, it's called Appeals Court. Anyway, hey, speaking of Cincinnati, Mike, you guys went in there in the Nippert Stadium, the famed Nippert Stadium, home of all that attendance, and Jeff Burning's money.
All of it.
Well, not all of it, but a good chunk, because they're using some of it on a lawsuit, but that's neither here nor there. And you guys you had the lead for for a while, but you end up with a draw. So, I mean, third party perspective, that's a lot better than a lot of teams do there. So I don't think you should be too, upset about this, but man, what a performance for you guys, and what a season so far.
Yeah, honestly, we talked about it on our show last night. I think I've never come away from a draw feeling more optimistic and more of a sense of pride in a team. And when I say that, I know it sounds like I'm saying, well, they went into Cincinnati and they got themselves a draw, and that's proving something. But actually, it's completely the opposite of that. It's the fact that, Lilly goes in and you look at just the starting lineup, and it's like, what the frig is he like? He played Thomas Van Kiezeel, who just last week was playing as our number 10. He started him in the middle of the center back group, and you're like, what is he doing? Like, Lilly's just messing with people's heads at this point. So for us as fans trying to predict what's actually going to happen, it's like throw the cards in the air, because there's no idea.
You have the unpredictability of an MLS 2 side. It's wonderful.
Yeah, and Alan Koch said as much. I guess at halftime he said they had to throw out their entire game plan because they thought we were going to come in and do something, and Lilly was like, nope, going to do something else. And Lilly has built a team of professionals who are, we keep using the word disciplined, and they can play pretty much any role that he asks of them and execute his game plan. And honestly, that first half was it was all Pittsburgh. And if it weren't for, two sort of, since he did, to their credit, the fans got back into it coming into the second half, but it honestly was a chess match back and forth. Since he adjusted, we adjusted back. Since he adjusted, this team, I think if this game happens 3 or 4 weeks down the road, I think the Hounds walk away with a win, easy. Since his second goal was basically a giveaway. Toby Adewale went to clear it inside the box, and he put it right to the foot of Walker, and Walker just had to hit it home. Yeah, I mean, we keep seeing a completely different lineup, completely different shape every single game, and it's just clear that Lilly's going into each game knowing exactly what the other team is going to do, and has figured out ways to nullify it.
That has to be his plan. Right, because for how many years now it's been, this is Lilly ball, this is what they're going to do, and I mean, to the guy's credit, no one's been able to stop that either. But that's what he did, and now he's going, okay, well, what if I did this, and what if I do this, and it's almost like he's had it in some cases, years and years and years of footage on teams. In other cases, it's okay, well, they just play like their MLS team, so maybe he looks at footage from the MLS side or what have you, or he knows that, these two teams are just going to kind of try to play their style every week, and he can adapt to those. So I wonder in a way if Bob Lilly is literally forming his lineup like the day of the game and going, okay, well, this is going to work because they don't know how to stop this because this is how they play. You know what I mean? Like he's playing to other teams, which is usually such a dirty thing to do in soccer, and you always hate, like, coaches are always like, well, no, it's just whoever can execute the best. Bob Lilly's going, okay, well, you try to beat me when I do this. Like he's thinking a step ahead of everybody else, and I can't believe I'm I don't discredit the guy. I just don't think that he plays incredibly attractive soccer until this year, and now it's like something clicked, and he's
To force into a question, Mike, is that like, would you say, do you think Lilly perhaps is working with a more talented bunch and he feels like he's able to pull that off?
Yes, I think it's a combination of things. It's almost like a perfect storm has landed here in Pittsburgh, in that I think that Lilly has always sort of had this ability. He just hasn't had the resources. And so he came to Pittsburgh, and not that he has unlimited resources, but there were reports that, he was potentially given even more resources than he wanted. And he was like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm going to make this work with what I want. But his knowledge base, just from being around the league for so long, we asked him going into the Nashville game, we said, how do you prepare for a game like this? And, just sort of like slyly, he was like, I know who their players are. Like he's been around long enough to know guys, know their strengths. He just, he lives and breathes the USL. And so when he's not playing and when he's not coaching, he's watching every other team and keeping tabs on things. So, yeah, it's an exciting time. It's something we haven't seen in Pittsburgh in maybe ever.
Sure.
But, yeah,
I think that match convinced me that Pittsburgh was definitely a top 4 material, possibly even top 3 in the Eastern Conference, only behind Louisville and Tampa. I mean, they've only given up 2 goals, which is on the year, which is tied with Indy and Louisville for the fewest allowed in this conference. Overall, I was very impressed with how Pittsburgh played, and they're still one of now 2 unbeaten teams left in the Eastern Conference this year.
Yeah. And it's really weird to hear people say, you're not the first person I've heard say that, Ryan, but it's really weird to hear people say that off a draw. But I think if you actually watch the game and you sort of understand the game within the game, that's what's most exciting to me. And, the stat that the Hounds only had 36% possession in this game. If you watch, it didn't matter. It was, there was a completely different game going on that just the possession didn't matter. So it'll be interesting to watch, moving forward.
Sure. Speaking moving forward, Tampa Bay Rowdies 2, Real Monarchs SLC 0 in, and I'm sure a bunch of teams would have something to say about this, but in what could possibly be a really good chance of being a USL final, the Eastern Conference comes out on top again. Tampa Bay with 2 goals, Real Monarchs with not. Joe Cole, Georgi Hristov. Maybe if this is out in Utah, there's a different result here, but Tampa Bay, again, plays well at home and picks up a win. So, yeah.
It felt closer than the scoreline when you
watched. For sure.
Yeah. It was a fun one to watch, too. Kind of 2 teams doing their thing that you definitely respect what they do. I enjoy watching this.
2 teams doing their thing, and like we said last week, this isn't a match that you see a whole lot.
Right.
There's not a lot of where, in MLS or other leagues around the world where literally every team plays each other. Just because of the size of the United States and travel costs, it's not a thing that happens a whole lot. So kudos to both these teams for, I'm assuming, accepting this offer. And we're spoiled for being able to watch it before the USL final potentially.
Would you guys prefer to see more cross-conference games like this?
Yes.
Yeah. Especially with how big the league is now, and I think there's a lot of interest in I would love to see Louisville or Cincy play San Antonio, or I'd love to see Charleston and Sacramento play.
I agree. I mean, if with the team with the unbalanced conferences and schedules and stuff, I think it's fair if you just do a home and away for every opponent in your conference, and then just start going and making offers. Well, who in the other conference or maybe conferences in the future do you want to go out and play?
Right.
Right. And then you just fill it out that way.
And watch everyone in the East rush to take on Vegas or try to play Vegas.
Right.
That's kind of a point I was going to make, is that, St. Louis, who's desperate to make the playoffs, granted, they did pick Swope Park as one of their extra opponents this year. I don't know if they picked them or not. But the other one's, I think, Tulsa, who is also close, so gas money again. But if you can eke out an extra win, perhaps, against a team that hasn't been good historically, I imagine a lot of teams are looking for teams that'll help them make the playoffs on top of that. So all the more props to these guys for doing this, because both of them were in, very easily could have lost this game. So,
yeah.
I mean, this is the first time all year that Real Monarchs has been held scoreless in a match, and I doubt that'll happen at very few other Asians in the season. And also props to Georgi Hristov earning his 57th goal in a Rowdies kit.
Yeah. Is he in the Golden Boot race? I bet he is. He keeps scoring. Most
If
games.
he's not now, he will be. But I think there's a couple guys in the Western Conference that are going to have him edged out, unfortunately.
No, the 57th goal tied, I believe, the club all-time record, or did it break the club all-time record? I watched that game too, so when he scored, it was a big deal for him, and that's fantastic. It's for that you can get that.
Hristov is currently tied for third in the Golden Boot rate, only behind Carlton Belmore with 7 and Evelson with 5.
Everyone's going to be behind Carlton Belmore.
Yes.
Including the entire clubs.
Yeah. The entire state of Oklahoma is behind Carlton Belmore.
Hey.
Nice.
Hey Phil, you guys played. Speaking of Oklahoma, you guys played Oklahoma City Energy and you beat them 1-0. Your boy Christian Valesky with a goal.
Yeah, Valesky got a goal on a turnover. He was doing a really good job pressing in that game, and I've always thought he was really good at pressing high up. And something that to note about St. Louis in this game is that you're kind of seeing them develop an identity. And two things that the announcer said at the beginning, I stole this from them, and I added on the OKC game because they continued this streak. They have 390 minutes with 1 goal allowed and 220 minutes now without any goals allowed. And so you're kind of seeing St. Louis, they're fine with a 1-goal lead. They're happy to sit back and defend if that happens. So far, they haven't let themselves down on a 1-goal lead, I believe, although maybe Fresno scored second. I can't remember. But anyway, they're happy to do it, and they're doing a good job of defending. And you also kind of see this air of professionalism coming from them, even from the warm-ups and the way that they defend. You were kind of watching this game with an OKC who's struggling to score against St. Louis, who is just absolutely strangling the attack. If that continues, granted, they haven't played anyone very difficult yet until this upcoming weekend in Swope Park. So nothing to get terribly excited about yet, but it's cool to see an identity emerging from Anthony Poulos and the coach.
Hey, Phil, you know who isn't struggling to score?
You tell me.
Mohamed Salah.
Okay.
And do you know where you could potentially buy a Mohamed Salah Liverpool kit?
Please tell me I'm a huge fan of his.
It's our friends at Soccer Loco.
Really?
I'm going to be honest. This is like my favorite part of the podcast every week because I try to figure out a more obscure way to bring up that we are in fact affiliate partners with Soccer Loco. So shout out to my boy DK. I love you. And what you do, uslshow.com, and right above, I think, our Patreon box, there's a box that says Soccer Loco. It's blue and orange and white. Or if you're colorblind, it's gray, and gray. And you can click on that, and then anything you buy there, not only do you get really cool soccer things, including jerseys and cleats and all of your soccer equipment and things like that, we get a cut of that. So that's really cool. If you guys want to do that, be sure to check it out. Everything you could possibly think of for soccer. And those guys will take care of you, and they will do it well. There you go. That was your mid-show ad read.
Perfect. Well done.
I know. And it's true. Like, Mo Salah's not hurting to score goals. He's very good. Yep. He would do very bad things to any team in this league. It would be entertaining as hell.
Yes.
Anyway, speaking of things that weren't necessarily entertaining as hell, Colorado Springs and Seattle Sounders played to a 0-0 draw. And I hate that I feel like whenever we talk about Colorado Springs, we're always like, man, this was a boring match. Eventfully, 2 more red cards. So
yeah, the
Western Conference continues.
Tons and tons of draws this past week and tons of red cards in the Western Conference.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fun fact with Western Conference, the top 8 teams in yellow cards are all Western Conference teams.
We have no discipline in the West.
Well,
would you say it's the Wiki Wild West?
I might if I happen to have a movie contract for some reason.
Yeah.
In the 90s, right?
It feels like the West is super physical. Okay,
it's a different song entirely.
Really physical.
I thought the exact same.
Come for the soccer, stay for the really bad references.
Yep.
So much fun.
Is that Phil? Was that? I'm sorry. Was that what you wanted to say? It is now, right? You're just.
I mean, I
you're
could
I'm
say
gonna
it
move on.
in a
It's
longer fashion, but why?
Okay.
Have I been ruining all your thoughts, Phil? I'm so sorry.
Oh, I don't think so.
Phil, here, let me throw to Kevin about the Timbers 2 match where they played against Reno, and you can just talk for 5 minutes. It'll be great. Kev, Portland Timbers 2-1. These are the worst. Portland Timbers 2-1. Reno 1868 FC 2. So for those confused, the team that plays in Portland that are not the Timbers proper scored 1 goal. And the team that plays in Reno that decided to name their team after the year that the city was founded, I believe, scored 2 goals, which means they won. Kev, something happened that you said if it happened in our group DM that we have, you'd be very upset. And I will abscond myself from any criticism by saying I did not, in fact, vote for Danny Musovsky for Player of the Week, even though I really thought about it when I was writing my email to Nick Murray. And I went, Kev would be really mad if I did this, but I didn't do it.
Yeah, he won Player of the Week, didn't he? The little, this is a family show,
the very nice goal-scoring boy, Danny Musovsky. Is that what you wanted to say?
I'll tell you what. Before I start going on a rant and probably pissing off every Reno fan that listens to this show, why don't we just go over a game that you missed? Because I think Ryan really wants to talk about it. Atlanta United 2 versus Louisville City, and they drew 1-1. Because he actually copied it and pasted it right above in the notes.
And copied and pasted down in the.
I think you want to talk about it. I mean, we probably should. We should probably cover it because Louisville City is a big deal, right?
I don't think any of us thought that Atlanta United 2, who scored 1 goal, was going to score 1 goal and draw Louisville City away.
They drew them at home. It was interesting, huh?
Yeah.
It was Andrew Garleton's first professional goal, and I remember actually seeing his professional debut at MLS when he played the Houston Dynamo and nearly scored when he came on as a sub, like 85. But it was definitely an impressive showing for him, although he did miss a PK chance at 57. But Louisville dominated the shot battle for this match, 22-6, and including 7-1 in shots on target. And in fact, shocking that Atlanta got the goal with their just 1 shot on target being that PK.
Yeah.
I want to say that I thought this would be a draw. I was a little surprised. I was just trying to be different, so I was a little surprised that I ended up being.
So the Hounds face Atlanta this weekend. So Phil, you saying you thought it was going to be a draw? Was there anything behind that other than you were trying to be different? What gives you confidence in Atlanta?
Atlanta, no, I don't know. I thought Atlanta might step it up against Louisville, and I feel like Atlanta is kind of similar to like New York, like the Red Bulls too. They're the same way where they'll have like crazy good attack one game and then it'll be pretty flat another game. And I was just hoping that if they were at home that they'd do okay stepping up to Louisville. Interestingly, their attendance is pretty decent where they are too. So I thought that was kind of cool.
I think he's implying that Atlanta United too don't see Pittsburgh Riverhounds as a threat, so they're not going to get it up for your game, man.
They might not.
He's insulting your team.
Whatever. I'm not too concerned because they played tonight anyway. So
true.
That'll be their third game in 7 days.
Talk about insulting teams. Now we can talk about Portland Timbers 2 versus Reno. If we
real quick, I just want to say shout out. Andrew Carlton is like 5 years old.
Yeah,
and by that I mean like 17, I think, and he's gonna be. I'll be stunned if he stays in the U.S. for a long time.
I hope to be not stunned, and I hope he leaves as soon as possible.
Get out
while you can.
Yeah, man, you don't deserve to develop in the United States where it won't really matter because you're just a really good player.
Well, if they're going to go out and find another winger to take his spot, I mean, just get out.
I can't wait for you to pair up on the other wing with Christian Pulisic because you're so much better than Ousmane. Oh, wait, he doesn't play. Who did they? I don't remember.
Didn't Isaac have a crazy good game this weekend?
Probably, yeah. He's going to be good, too. Anyway. So, Andrew, because I know you're listening to the podcast, please go to Borussia Dortmund. Great, thank you. I know that's as easy as me saying that, so there you go.
They'll be in the States this summer. He could just tag along with them.
There you go.
There you go.
Yeah, just join them there. Just hop on the plane in the baggage. I know it'll be a little tight, and you're a child, so you only pay like half the fare. So it's great. You're fine. Hey Kev, what about that game? How was that? Not great.
Yeah, Reno decided to insult the Portland Timbers by getting their first match of the season. I like Ryan's notes. Probably Reno's best match of the season. Well, it was their only win so far too. So there you go.
Silver lining.
They came in and they appeared to be very good at fouling without getting a card.
Okay.
Nothing was bad, but like we've already discussed, the West is a very physical place, and Reno was right up there. I can't remember exactly how many fouls combined, but I think it was close to 30. And there was only 2 yellow cards, so one of the lowest card count, I think, for West games this week. And yeah, it happened. And I don't like Reno. I'll just say that.
Tell you what, the West is so wild. I think Kevin Klein is actually the president of it.
I got it. I got
it. I know who that one was. Yep.
Today's random 90s thing of the week: the movie Wild West with Will Smith and Kevin Klein. Don't watch it. It's not good. But listen to the theme because
I was gonna say, what's more popular, the song or the movie?
The song.
I think steampunks might like it.
Yeah.
Those steampunks.
Steamy
USL 2020, the North Dakota steampunks.
There we go. I like it. They all wear the goggles.
Guys, that was your really good free marketing advice of the week. Brought to you.
Go. That was it.
Evan Valella. I don't care
which Division 3 team.
I don't care if it's a USL Division 2 team. I don't care if it's a USL Division 3 team. I don't care if it's a USL box soccer team.
Box soccer?
Box soccer?
Yeah, like indoor soccer.
Oh. Got it.
What did you think? They like played soccer with a box? Like what was it, like BattleBots, but it's soccer? I need that to happen too.
I thought maybe Mike knew what you're talking about and it was a Pennsylvania thing.
I didn't know that.
Now I'm hurt.
I just assumed it was crazy. It's fine.
As soon as you mentioned it, Evan, now I need it.
Yeah. So you have the 4 house robots on each corner of the pitch, and if you want to take a corner, you have to fight the house robots. And Matilda's your favorite, even though she's the least effective, because it's just a thing that looks like a rhino with a chainsaw in her butt.
I picture you like what was it? Eminem and 8 Mile, like sitting there just like scribbling in a notebook on a bus.
That's where these ideas come up with my references. You're like before the show starts.
Chainsaw in a butt, and her name is Matilda.
No, Mike. Listen, in BattleBots, the original show, the one that was in the UK, and then the first time they brought it over in the United. I know too much about this. So. Tune in next week for BattleBots, the podcast, brought to you by the Video Game Network podcast. No, there was a house robot in BattleBots, which was the robots that didn't change every week, and one of them was named Matilda, and it was a thing that looked like a rhino or like a triceratops that had a chainsaw in its butt.
Okay,
I will take your word for it.
I think
we're gonna tweet out a photo of Matilda now from the show account, and people are gonna be confused because I'll do it after we record, so they won't know what's coming. And I'll be like, "Remember this?" And then someone will go, "Yeah, I remember," and it'll be great.
Speaking of chainsaws in your butt, Phoenix Rising 2, Swope Park 2.
Yeah.
Thank you.
This was not a painful. Well, I mean, maybe it was, but this was the Carlton Belmar show, kind of.
This game was good.
It was really good.
It was fun to watch, and I knew Swope was good, but I thought they were going to drop because they got rid of a lot of those veteran guys who are scoring goals for other teams and put in a lot of younger guys, and it doesn't seem to matter. They still have the same system. Millions of short passes all over the pitch until they get that goal, and it keeps working week after week after week. It's really respectable what they're trying to do there, and it's even more respectable that they're succeeding at it, honestly. I think.
So, guys, last year we were always talking about, Romario Williams is going to score so many goals that there's going to be teams that are going to have less goals than Romario Williams. Then the Gold Cup happened. Carlton Belmar is not competing in an international, to my knowledge, in an international tournament of that magnitude this year. So like he's going to end up with more goals than at least like 3 clubs, right?
At least.
He currently has more than 13 other clubs.
Yeah, but I figure that'll balance itself out at some
up.
point.
But he might get a call up, perhaps, to Sporting. I feel like he needs one, deserves one.
I thought he was signed to a first team contract.
Yeah, I just mean hopefully he'll get some minutes with them.
Yes, MLS minutes. That would actually be. I'd be interested to see that. See how he does in MLS.
Yeah,
that would be the true marker of like, man, Portland, you really effed up when you missed sent him off.
Yep. Or I mean, he may not do much up there. We'll have to see. I started to doubt him, but now I'm taking it back.
What was it? His second goal?
Yep.
That was crazy.
The one where I was like, okay, maybe I was wrong.
That's a strong man doing strong man things and scoring a goal.
Yeah. It wasn't just physicality.
Right.
Is that the one where he kind of stole it off the back line and ran for it and
he kind of stole it off the back line. A dude basically grabbed him and he just went, "Please stop touching me."
Yeah, that's what he does. Yeah. He even did that with T2. Like, he was really good at just being able to like steal the ball off one of your defenders, and then all of a sudden he's in alone on goal and he'll slide it past your keeper.
Yep.
It's kind of his bread and butter. But even among that, like, as that his 90 goes to, he's getting a lot better, more well rounded as a player in itself. So he'll probably win the Golden Boot. It'd be cool if he does.
Yeah, it'll be fun to watch. And not to undersell or whatever, forget about Phoenix Rising, because they had a great game themselves. I thought it was interesting that both teams seemed to lose the ball in their own half a lot in this game, which was strange. So that's something to watch. I mean, I feel like I want to see some team play one or both of these teams and really high press them like crazy and get some turnovers.
And we had another stoppage time red card, which are my favorite red cards.
Yeah, it was a silly. He deserved it, but it wasn't any one crazy foul. It was just like 10 million tiny fouls.
Accumulation will do that for you.
There was a lot of second yellows, honestly. I mean,
it's true. That was a second yellow, but
yeah, there's a lot of different second yellows. Most of the red cards I think were second yellows, but yeah, they're all coming at such late in the game. It doesn't affect it, but it does affect not having that player for the next game.
Yep.
Yeah, I believe Chris Tierpak of San Antonio's match against Fresno was the only straight red card that we saw the weekend. Everything else was second yellows.
That one was pretty deserved as well, I thought.
The battle of MLS two sides that we probably won't see this happened last year too. And it just works out the schedule where I think Red Bull and LA Galaxy 1 played each other, right?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yes.
Los Dos 1, New York Red Bulls 2 also won. I think this one, honestly, was Red Bull didn't wake up until the second half.
And what's his name? Rivas. Is it Carlos Rivas played for them and got kind of injured early on. He looked great at first and he seemed disinterested after that. And then he kind of got hurt and was off in the 30-something minute. But boring game. I thought Red Bulls were extremely disappointing. Yeah. And I thought LA Galaxy, kind of like Toronto, I thought their young players were all really attacking very nicely. Maybe New York was doing a bad job, but something to take of note, someone to watch perhaps. 17-year-old, just turned 17-year-old Ulysses Lanez. He's an American winger playing for them, scored his first goal this year. So he's a young guy to watch as well.
I thought there was a lot of really good saves in this game, actually.
I agree.
So if you're into some really good goalkeeping, check out the highlights at least on this one for sure.
And Red Bull are without any result or without a win on the road this year. Do you think that they could be much like Tampa Bay was last season and struggle on the road but completely dominate at home, because they currently have 3 home wins and have scored 12 goals in their time at Red Bull Arena?
They're just so wildly, and I mean, this is probably an exception and not the rule, which I think I'll say like every week this year, but this one's a little different just because they're way far away from home. This was in LA, or Carson or whatever. So I don't know if I'm looking at this and going, they're going to be terrible on the road, but I think at this point it's just because they're so inconsistent week in, week out. Like one week they'll hang 5 on Tampa Bay and the next week they'll get a 1-1 against Los Dos. But I mean, I wouldn't be thrilled if it was happening to my club.
It's true, but they do it every year. So
it's true. It's very true. Well, except for the one year they just kind of ran the league.
That's true.
That was fun.
In response to what you said, Ryan, I think they're just going to be like last year. I mean, I think you have a really good point that maybe they'll be bad away, but 2 years ago was maybe a weird, awesome thing that happened with them, and then the last year and this year, I think are going to be pretty similar. Borderline.
So a third consecutive Eastern Conference Final appearance.
Yes.
Wait, Red Bull too?
Yeah.
Oh, geez, I forgot they went that far.
Yeah, they do that.
But they barely slipped into the playoffs. My bad. Good call.
Not how you get there.
Yep. Good call.
Got by Charleston and Tampa and before falling to Louisville last year.
Totally forgot that. You're right.
So fun. It was so fun. Last game of the week. Fresno played San Antonio to a 0-0 draw. Chris Tierpak gets a straight red late. And sorry, Harry, but San Antonio FC has not scored the first goal in any of their matches this year.
So this was the 10th draw out of 15 games in week 6.
Jeez.
I mean, not only was the West very red card happy, or I guess yellow card happy, and a lot of them turned into reds, but man, the whole league just decided, let's just draw. Draw. It was an artistic weekend, I guess. I don't know.
It's like Jose Mourinho directed the weekend.
Yeah.
That was good.
So that's it. We did have 2 games today, though, didn't we? Just actually before we started recording, Penn FC played Nashville, and then Atlanta United played Charleston.
Yeah, from the Penn FC Nashville result, it was just very poor weather conditions on the night, but it was definitely a defensive stance. And it just seemed like it was only right that the match would end in a draw. 37 total tackles on the night, 46 combined clearances. Nothing truly concerning. 7 yellow cards combined. And Nashville had a very low tackle success rate at 52.9% compared to Penn's that was up in the 70s. But it just seemed like it had draw written all over it. And Phil, I knew you predicted that one to be 0-0 in our Pick'em League.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, way to start off week 7 with a perfect prediction.
What is your take on Nashville? Like, are they a playoff team this year? I know everybody was high on them coming into the season. Do we think they end up above the line or below the line?
They're currently 8th in the Eastern Conference right now, tied with Cincinnati and Charleston. I still feel like I need to see a lot more of them on the road. But they could definitely at least hang around that playoff line and maybe sneak in at like 5 through 8.
Yeah, I'm with Ryan. They'll be right there at the line, probably, dancing both sides of it through the season, and they could go either way, I think. But they're playing right now like they're gonna be mid-table.
I wish they could sign a new striker. A striker that can go 60, 70 minutes every match and get a goal every second or third match. I think Speedway Podcast was talking about that. What's the British striker? I forgot his name. The forward.
There's a lot of them.
I'm sorry.
Gotta be more specific than that.
No.
Marcus Rashford? They're starting Marcus Rashford?
I'm getting it wrong. It's not the British forward, but they were talking about one of their players who just can't. He's having trouble completing passes, much less getting shots and shots on goal, and they're having trouble, obviously, with the attack. So it's rough.
Sounds like a British striker.
Hey,
it's a midfielder.
Oh.
I got
Moloto?
it.
Mibo Moloto?
No, not Moloto. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up because I didn't know.
It's all right. No, you're cool. You're cool. Yeah, in their second ever game, it's a boring 0-0 draw for Penn FC. Also, in what is one of his first appearances in USL ever, Rapapa Mensah played against not his former club. See how dumb this is? See how dumb this is? I mean, I'm sorry.
It is.
He still hasn't started for them, if I'm not mistaken, and he
Correct.
keeps getting the goals. So maybe give him a shot.
He's really young, though. I think that's the only thing.
He's probably better at the end of games too, but still,
Yeah.
give him a shot.
Definitely a spark off the bench. Hey, speaking of results we all expected to happen, Atlanta United 2-0, Charleston Battery 3. Which what's really cool about this is Atlanta United loanee Gordon Wild scored twice for his parent club's child club. So Gordon Wild scores twice for his step cousin's club.
I like it.
Yep.
All right.
And Ian Sventesson gets the opener.
He's on the board.
He is on the board.
Did you see the opening goal though?
Mm-mm.
It hit the both posts and the crossbar.
Oh, good.
It was. You go look it up. I mean, the game finished like just before we started recording, but
It's true.
It hits the right post and then the left post and then bounces up, hits the crossbar, and at some point in that sequence, I think it crossed the line.
That's awesome.
It bounced out and the keeper caught it, but they called it as a goal. So it's hard to tell, but I'm assuming that it hit both posts and the crossbar, which is impressive enough as it is. But then at some point also crossed the line and goal. So yeah, go check that out. It's something you're not gonna see every day.
If you can, are we cool to move on and talk about ESPN Plus?
Yes, I was about to say let's get into it. So we have a bunch of tweets.
Yeah, we have a bunch of tweets, and one of them was, I forgot to put it in here, but I think Harry Remencall, he said that there were some technical difficulties tonight, and I think I had trouble logging into that game actually. So that's the thing to say. Should we read some more? What do you think?
What it is? So let's just get and we appreciate all y'all for interacting with us. And like I said, it's weird because this is still early in the ESPN Plus, and I know they're working on things like they have the Roku thing up now. I agree with the accessibility is a big problem right now. And I think the more pressure the USL puts on ESPN Plus to say, hey, we would really appreciate it if, if you can get like League 2 and League 1 and the championship kind of sorted out and all those logos are correct. Like if you can work with us a little bit to get all those. And I don't know if that's one of those things where USL had each individual team put a logo in. Like we don't know the back of house kind of things that went on. So I'd be interested to see how that all works in terms of how ESPN grabs their logos. But I will say for the technical issues and things like that, I think this is the best quality stream in terms of definition, ever happened. And I know there's some glitches and things like that, but I will be lenient in the first month or so.
Which is free.
Right. If you already signed up for it, there's a good chance you caught it free. So that's at least good. But I mean, yeah, I think Harry's dead on. Like for $5, like that's
lots of
crazy. Because if I think for a lot of USL fans, they do well, or for a lot of people that listen to our show, they are MLS fans as well. And for $5 to get that, and you get MLS, USL, and the English Championship, which is always entertaining. It's not bad at all.
Without a doubt. Mike, you're the guest. I'd like to hear what you think of ESPN Plus so far.
Oh, man. We had a pretty lengthy discussion about it on Mongols, and I think that my standpoint is I don't know if the USL is actually making out on this deal as much as ESPN is making out on this deal. And so I think for that reason, USL does have, or they should have, a lot of leverage to try to get some of these changes done. Honestly, I haven't had any issues with it thus far. I was actually away this weekend for the Hounds Cincy game, and I was able just to pull it up on my phone, no problems. Evan, to your point, the quality seemed decent. So I think longer term, there's a discussion to be had about whether or not this is the right move for the USL. And I know there's some people who are strongly for and against, but I think for right now, I'm in the same camp of, let's give it a little bit of time and see how things shake out. And if ESPN can't get their act together, then it's like, you basically took a whole group of people who were getting a product for free, and now you're requiring them to pay $5. So ESPN's making out on the deal. But just from a usability standpoint, I'm okay with it for now.
I'm very much a fan of two of the jokes we got. One is from friend of the pod, even though you hadn't heard his voice on the podcast, Ben Wright from Speedway, at B Wright SSP. ESPN Plus, more like ESPN minus, and then Josh from Mongols put boom roasted, and I read that immediately in a Michael Scott voice. And then Brandon at BREW, so Brew_Wallace said, love being able to get a hot USL threesome or even foursome going on Saturday nights. And I can't support that personally, but as a show, I can support that via a like on Twitter. So you'll never know who liked it. Just saying.
I've never actually tried to do like a split screen. Is that something that anybody here has done and watched multiple games at the same time?
I haven't played around with it as much as I want to.
Not necessarily a split screen, but 2 games in 2 different browser windows. And then you know how Windows, you can like put one window so it matches up in exactly half the screen, another one. And so I did it that way. And I was watching, two games on whenever T2 played Reno, there were 2 games going on before it. And I was watching both of them at the same time. And I couldn't listen to both of them at the same time, but as far as watching them, there wasn't any sort of like lag or cutting out. It ran 2 of them just fine. I know that Pony said he did something similar and only started to have issues after he started to add a 4th game.
Yeah.
How dare they? After 4 games.
And I just set it. I set mine up on my Roku, which they added this last weekend, which was really, really smart of them to get that pushed out there as fast as possible. A lot of people use those. And but I think the biggest complaints I've seen that like I understand because this is what a lot of people rely on is Connor Paquette. He put that no PS4 accessibility makes me just want to go to a bar for away day games, and so that's understandable. And he was actually understandable with the rest of his tweet, but that's a tough one. If that's all you use on your TV is a PS4 and Xbox, hopefully they're working on that. I imagine they are.
Yeah. And that's one of those things, like I would totally, and maybe not Twitter, Twitter might not be the best way to go about that, but I would definitely just because I don't think the market research was out there. So I think it's one of those things where the only thing that you use is a PS4, go tweet at them and be like, hey, put this in an app. Because the worst thing that happens is they go, right, all right, we have, we know at least one person wants to watch this on the app, and I'm sure he's not alone. So anyway, guys, we're running over, so allow me to do the rundown here. You can follow. And actually, let me introduce something, and hopefully this will encourage people to interact with us. I want to start doing a thing called Tiny Really Cool Moment of the Week, and what that is, this week will be a good example. I want either academy things that happened that are really cool, or like non-league things that happen that are really cool. So that being said. This week's Tiny Really Cool Thing of the Week, and I will tweet it from the USL Show account, comes via Atlanta United's academy, where one of their U13 boys, Pablo Villanueva, hit a goal from 23 yards out, but outside of the box. It's probably goal of the year. So let me tweet that out from the account now with hashtags and things like that. And if you want to follow the show account, you can do that. We're on Twitter at the USL Show. We also have a website, theuslshow.com, and from there, you can feel free to support us on Patreon. If you do that, oh my God, you guys are crazy. So thank you. Which means you very much enjoy the show. I just appreciate that a lot of people enjoy this show and listen to us, and we can say, hey, what are your thoughts on this? And we have so many responses, because that's awesome. If for whatever reason you would like to follow me, myself, or want to hear more of my voice, at VillelaBSFC, V as in Victor, ILLELLABSFC. You can follow, let's see, we'll start with Ryan, at ILM_Ryan. He just tweeted out really cool pictures of the USL backpack making its Mancunian debut, I think is what they call themselves, which was pretty solid. He's also in Glasgow and doing soccer things over there, so definitely check that out. If you're like me and you haven't been out there yet, but you really want to go and get y'all some pictures, feel free to follow Phil at Phil Grooms, 2 L's, 2 O's, as well as at STL Soccer Report. He is there as well. Good podcast covering all things St. Louis FC. Who else? Big Kev. Let's see here. K McCamish PDX is where you can find him personally. He is also at at Play the Kids, right? Or no, at PTK Podcast. Yeah.
At PTK Podcast.
At PTK Podcast, which is his podcast called Play the Kids, where him and Josh talk about Portland Timbers 2. which is some good stuff. And then let's see. Also at Stumptown Footy, which is where you all do your writing things.
Yep.
And then for Mike, at Mike D Sparks, which is a rarely used personal.
I didn't think you were going to get that. Yeah.
I got it. I did.
You did.
Because
I
used it today.
Yeah.
And you can also find him on, a little podcast covering the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and one that kind of set the whole network in motion, but he'll never take credit for it. So Mike, edit this out.
I can finally respond, and I'm not going to. Yeah, go ahead.
At Mongols is the podcast. He's also the mastermind, I suppose, behind at BGNFM. Yeah.
That's care of all of us.
That's a strong word. No. That's definitely not how I think of it. You guys,
Mike Sparks is the
podcast networking.
Look. No, in all seriousness, because there's a lot of people who reach out to me asking to join BGN, which you'll be hearing
none
more
of them
from
get
them
it
later.
You can't.
No, that's not true. But a lot of that is from like people like, hey, I was talking to Phil, or hey, I was talking to Evan, or hey, I was talking to Kevin. And so honestly, I just sort of see myself as like the RA of like this community, and it's just like people keep coming in. I'm like, yeah, guys, come on in. We'll just hang out, and then like everybody just keeps doing their thing. So no, I can't take credit for any of this other than just squatting on the website and and publishing shows from time to time.
Awesome.
Sure, Mike. Sure. Guys, I just want to point out before we wrap up that Mike Sparks is a chronicle liar, and everything that he says is in fact wrong. And I would also just
Cincy fans will believe that one today.
Well, so we're in the same boat. And yeah, none of us literally would be here without his help and continued support.
This is the last time I'm coming on this show.
I know. See, I'm going to talk him. I'm going to sing his praises until he vows to never be back on the show, so we can get rid of him forever. It'll be
done
great.
And done. I'm going to bed.
Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Sorry we went over, but with the group that we have tonight, that is always bound to happen. So, I appreciate you sticking around for the hour and a half or so that we took up of your time. Hopefully your commute to or from work was great. And if we help you kill some time at work tomorrow, that's awesome too. Just, do your job, please. Other than that, thanks for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Don't get fired.
Yeah, please don't get fired. Oh, God, guys, we're terrible.
So speaking of work, since you haven't mentioned it, did I tell you guys I got promoted?
You did. You didn't tell us specifically, but I saw your tweets and they were touching. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie.
I changed my one analyst job to a different analyst job that's going to have more effect in the company's profitability overall, and then that job specifically leads to a director position in, they said, 6 to 24 months.
Awesome.
So
it's a weird ass time range.
Do you hold an axe in that job like you do in your picture?
I know.
Yes.
I do not, unfortunately.
He actually just casually walks around Portland with that outfit on with the axe because, without it, people won't know. Kev, do people think you play for the Timbers because you have their logo down at the bottom?
No, actually, surprisingly, nobody thinks that whatsoever.
It literally took me a hot minute.
Really out of shape to play for that team.
when you were talking, it took me a hot minute to like actually recognize that you were holding an axe. Like it was just like, oh yeah, that's just Kev. And then I was like, oh wait, hold on, who's holding an axe?
Like, oh my god, that's Thor's hammer behind him.
And that's from 2015 when we redid the team did photos like that for fans.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
They were like, hello, sir, you have a large beard like the other 5 million people in this town. Would you mind holding this axe?
I was literally walking down the street and they're like, hey, you're a guy with a beard. Hold this axe. I'm going to take your photo. Oh, okay, sure.
Did you have the TA shirt on? Or did they like force
I
you
happen to be wearing that. No.
Okay, all right. Yeah, so they were like, hey, that's a guy who looks like he knows what the Portland Timbers are.
Put the
we can approach him with an axe and he won't freak out.
Hold this axe.
Yeah.
Grow a beard.
And you're like, can I chop any wood? And they're like, no, we pay a guy to do that. Stop. And you're like, is Diego Valeri here? And they're like, no, he's busy. Go away.
whiny like that. No.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I gotta get going. I get my kids to bed.
in the Rose City.
Bye, Kev.
Bye, Kev.
You guys have a great night.
You
too. Everyone else, get out of here. I don't care.
Yep. Bye, guys. Thanks.
Bye.
Take care.